Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm bringing you the Mid-Year Freakout Tag. So I am filming this in early to mid-July, and yeah, I have done some really solid reading so far this year. It's been a pretty good year for reading, with some ups and downs in terms of feeling really slumpy and then reading way too much and ignoring my family. So we've had both extremes this year, and it means that I've read a lot of good stuff. So the first question is, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? I have a couple. The first one that springs to mind is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I'm here on my Goodreads. Haven't written a review for it, apparently. This always happens with books that I absolutely adore. But basically it follows two different perspectives. We have Terrain, who is basically was taken as a child to become a soldier for this empire, this kind of colonizing empire, and she has been returned to her homeland as a soldier to kind of keep the peace in her home city. And she wants to be seen as kind of like the model soldier, the model sort of citizen, person who has been sort of taken and molded by this empire. And the second point of view that we have is Luca, who is basically the heir to the throne. She is trying to prove that she is worthy by sort of quashing rebellion in the city. Their two lives obviously combine, and there's a lot of complications that come forth because of this. I have a lot of thoughts on this book. All of them are positive. I loved this, but I think that the single best review that I have seen is from Sarah from the Fantasy Inn, so I'll go ahead and link that down below if you're curious about this book. I also absolutely adored She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. What an absolutely incredible book. It's just like, it's so fabulous. In this book, we have a girl who basically is living in a famine-struck village. She's incredibly poor. Her family is starving. The village is attacked by bandits, and she is pretty much the sole survivor. And her brother was predicted to have this great destiny, and there was nothing predicted for her, so she decides to assume her brother's identity, and it follows her as she kind of grows up and she sort of enters these various stages of her life. It's so good. So good. It's just like the gender politics in this book are absolutely incredible when she talks about sort of gender roles, gender dynamics, sort of gender fluidity. It's just, it's so good. The characters are amazing, the world is amazing, the writing is amazing, everything about this book is amazing, and like, I can't wait for other people to read it. It comes out really soon. You know what else I love? This will be the last one because I read a lot of really good books this year. I was totally taken aback by how much I loved House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This is a YA horror book, and it was so good. It's a beautiful book. It's got this incredible, like, decaying nature horror, and it's about these three sisters who, when they were children, basically vanished for 30 days. No one knows what happened to them. They just completely vanished off the street in front of their parents. They're returned, and their father thinks that they are slightly off. And this sets off a whole chain reaction of events in their lives and their families' lives, and we follow one of these sisters as, I think it's like 10 years later, they're mostly grown up and the eldest disappears again. It is so good. There's some content warnings that go with this one, so go ahead and check that out. I think I have a review on Goodreads for this one, but it is like, it's a fabulous book, and I was totally taken by surprise by it. So the next question is, what was your favorite sequel for the first half of 2021? I'm scrolling, and I've read a couple of sequels, but nothing that's really stood out as something that was like amazing. I could say maybe Network Effect by Martha Wells, which I liked a lot, but I didn't like love and adore. What else have I got? I got sucked into TikTok this year, as y'all probably know, so I read the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and A Court of Mist and Fury is really good and much better than the first book, and definitely better than the third book, but I don't know if I would list it as like a new favorite. I don't really have a solid answer for this one, which is kind of weird. I think I gotta get on some sequels this year. The next question is there a new release that you haven't read yet but you're really excited for? Yes, this hasn't come out yet as of the filming of this video, but Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia comes out in August, and like, I'm so excited to read it. Now, the reason that I'm including it here, even though it's not out yet, is because I do have a physical copy of it. It's sat on my nightstand right now, and it is, I think, going to be one of the next books that I pick up. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. She's such a versatile writer, and she writes in so many different genres, and this particular one is set in 1970s Mexico, and it's a noir, which sounds amazing. What is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Okay, I'm going to try to narrow this down a little. We've got Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I think this is a reissue of one of her old books, but it's new to me. Redemptor by Jordan Ifueko, which is the sequel to Raybearer, which was one of my favorite books of last year. Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, that comes out in October. A Psalm of Storm and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown, which is the sequel to A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which I also loved last year. We've also got Gearbreakers by Zoe Hana Nikuda, which comes out, I think it's out already in the US, but it comes out in August in the UK. And we have Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee, which comes out in December. I'm so ready for that book to just crush my entire soul. What is your biggest disappointment so far? That is definitely The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I absolutely love Grady Hendrix's books, but this one, it didn't start out that promising, but it felt like it could get better, and it just went downhill for me. I have a review I think I wrote on NetGalley. I'll move that over to Goodreads if I haven't done that yet, so you can go ahead and check that out, but it was a big no for me, which was hugely surprising because usually I really love his stuff. What is your biggest surprise so far? I think it was probably House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. We already talked about that book earlier on, and just like, I'm still blown away by how good that book was. I was not expecting that at all. I thought that it would just be like a fun, good, like YA thriller horror book, but nope, blew me away. Newest fictional crush. I talk about this every year. I don't really get fictional crushes anymore. It's something that I kind of grew out of. Not saying that it's something you need to grow out or is immature or anything. I'm just talking about myself. So I don't really have one, which is kind of lame. New favorite character, that would be Shu from She Who Became the Sun. She's an absolutely incredible character. I also love Terrain from The Unbroken. The next question is, what is a book that has made you cry? And I am scrolling and I am seeing nothing that has made me cry this year, which is weird because I've talked to it before. I will cry at the drop of a hat. I will cry at everything. I cry at commercials. I cry when the cats are being really cute. I cry when my husband says something nice to me. Like, I cry at everything. But for some reason, books just haven't seemed to have been getting me this year. And I've read a couple that are like tearjerkers. So for example, I read They Both Die at the End, which was really sad, but didn't get me. I don't know what's wrong with me this year. Maybe I'm broken. A book that made you happy. All right, I'm gonna go in a slight different direction for this one. Again, TikTok made me do it. I read Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. This book was outrageous and it was so ridiculously fun. It smashed a reading slump that was kind of on the verge of happening for me. It is sexy sci-fi erotica featuring 7-foot-tall blue alien men with ridged dicks. Like, it knew exactly what it was. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was ridiculous and it was so fun, and I had an absolute blast reading that book. So that one did make me happy. Okay, so the next question is, what is the most beautiful book you've acquired this year? And I feel like I need to get off my butt and actually grab some of these physical books. Okay, so I pulled 3 off the shelf. The first is Persephone Station by Stina Leicht. Look at this. I don't know what it is about this. Maybe it's like the contrast of this color. Maybe it's just like her. I don't know what this is, but I'm obsessed with this cover. It's amazing. I also have The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is a new favorite for the year, and like, look at this cover. It's absolutely incredible. And then I have Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. This is the edition of this book that I have been looking for ages. It's a classic. It is out in the public domain. So you can get it for free, like via Kindle, but like, I have been after this edition for ages, and you can see why. Okay, the last question is, what books do you want to read by the end of the year? Everything that I've acquired. Everything. I have had a huge book buying problem this year ever since shops reopened, and it's not just been shops that have been the problem, but there's something about the freedom of stuff opening up again, because I was really good. I put myself on a budget and it lasted for a fair few months and I was doing really, really good with book buying, and then April, like what, 13th happened and bam, just all of that out the window. I have been acquiring books left and right. My TBR has gone up by like 100, and I've been reading a good number of books every month, and All of them. I'd like to read all of them by the end of the year. Thanks. So that is it for the Mid-Year Freakout Tag for me. I would love to know in the comments below if you have done this tag. Let me know and I will go ahead and watch it. Also, let me know if you have read any of these books that I talked about or if you have any alternate answers that you want to share. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.